Hello, I'm Kimberlie, and welcome to the weekend edition of the Native News Update. It's Friday, December 23rd, and many of the stories you hear here can be found at IndianCountryNews.com. And here's the news for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. A Coconino County Superior Court judge is expected to rule soon on whether a case involving Flagstaff's sale of reclaimed wastewater to Arizona Snowbowl for snowmaking will move forward to trial. The civil suit was filed by the Hopi Tribe and alleges that the city of Flagstaff is violating Arizona state law in selling treated effluent to the ski resort. The Arizona Daily Sun reports whatever decisions comes in the case could be appealed to a higher state courts. Attorneys working on behalf of the city of Flagstaff say the case has already been thoroughly argued in federal courts. They say the Hopi Tribe waited too long under the law to bring it to court, and that this was one of the series of lawsuits intended to stop development at the ski area. The Fond-du-Luth Band of Ojibwe and the city of Duluth in Minnesota are both appealing a recent court decision that ends an agreement over the tribe's downtown Fond-du-Luth casino. In November, the city suffered a defeat when a federal judge ruled that the band no longer had to pay the city about $6 million a year. But the judge also ruled that the band owed Duluth about $14 million it had withheld since 2009. Earlier, the National Indian Gaming Commission issued an opinion saying any payments violate federal law. The band appealed the court ruling to reconcile the conflict over whether to pay the $14 million. Duluth City Attorney Gunnar Johnson expressed surprise at the band's appeal. He said the city's appeal is seeking the right to receive a share of the casino's revenues for another 25 years. The Fond-du-Luth Band is also asking the Bureau of Indian Affairs to annex property adjacent to the casino into the reservation. The deadline is fast approaching for tribal members who are interested in and potentially eligible for monetary relief and debt relief from the Keepseagle settlement. The final deadline will be December 27th. Keepseagle versus Vilsack was a lawsuit alleging that USDA discriminated against Native American farmers and ranchers in a way it operated the farm loan program. The lawsuit was settled late last year, and the settlement has been approved by the court. Claimant services representatives can be reached through calling 1-888-233-5506 or find out more information at indianfarmclass.com. Surveys of the world's largest reindeer herd have revealed an alarming decline that has left a question mark over their future survival. The George River Caribou herd, which roams the tundras of Quebec and Labrador in Canada, has suffered a drop so severe that only 50,000 are estimated to remain from a total of at least 385,000 a decade ago. Regional governments have imposed tighter sanctions on the new hunting season, which opened this week, attempting to slow the decline while endeavoring to grant the indigenous people what they see as their constitutional right to take caribou for sustenance. Government biologists say the precise reasons remain a mystery, but acknowledge dwindling access to food as a cause and speculate that predation, disease, pesticides, and the effects of climate change may all play into the equation. But tribes such as the Innu, which share a cultural bond with the animals and use its hide and meat for food, shelter, and clothing, claim that industrial encroachment is a major contributing factor and that the government has failed to regulate it properly. The 2011 and 2012 hunting season will last 3 months instead of the usual 8 months, and hunters will be allowed just one animal each, with commercial harvesting banned altogether. A congressional bill that could give more power to Indian nations to accept restricted fees on tribal lands has been endorsed by the leader of the Seneca Nation. The House bill, designated H.R. 3532, and introduced November 30th by Representative Don Young of Alaska and Representative Dan Boren of Oklahoma, was referred to the Committee on Natural Resources and the House Subcommittee on Indian and Alaska Native Affairs. The bill would allow Indian tribes to voluntarily move tribal trust lands into federally protected restricted fee status, eliminate the burdensome federal review process before an Indian tribe can lease or grant easements or rights of way in such restricted fee lands, and clarify that tribal law preempts federal law with respect to the use of tribal restricted fee lands. The bill would require the Secretary of the Interior to transfer to an Indian tribe in restricted fee status the title to land the United States currently holds in trust status within 180 days of the formal notice. Restricted fee land, once conveyed, would continue to remain subject to restrictions imposed by the United States against alienation and state taxation. The Native Cultures Fund, a program of Humboldt Area Foundation, has announced a funding opportunity up to $7,500 per application for Native American individuals and organizations working in partnerships with the Native artists that produce art of outstanding quality and cultural significance. The Community Partnerships with Native Artists initiative provides grants to Native American individuals and organizations for theater production, script development, media arts, and the creation of contemporary and traditional visual arts and exhibitions. Since 2000, the Native Cultures Fund has made more than $1 million in grants to 285 community projects in rural Native communities throughout California. The fund is a partnership between Indigenous Peoples, Humboldt Area Foundation, the Ford Foundation, the James Irvin Foundation, and the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation. People living from Crescent City south to Santa Barbara, California are eligible to apply. To download the application, you can visit nativeculturesfund.org. All applications must be postmarked no later than January 23rd. On December 23rd, the Fijian government announced its decision to grant the nation's first ever exclusive gambling license to 100 Sands, which has announced plans to build a $290 million five-star luxury casino resort on Denaro Island in partnership with the Snoqualmie Tribe of Washington. The new venture is a long way, nearly 6,000 miles from the tribe's casino, which opened in 2008. The Snoqualmies are believed to be the first tribe in Washington and perhaps the country to enter into gambling operation overseas. The tribe has successfully launched other businesses outside Washington state, including a health and medical supply company in California and a construction corporation that works all over the country. But the tribe has never worked up a partnership or investment outside the United States until now. The first phase of the Fiji project will include a luxury resort and casino with 500 slot machines, convention center, and banquet facilities. Groundbreaking is proposed to begin in March of 2012. 2 Twin City-made documentaries will be shown in Jordan, Minnesota on an early morning during the Remembrance Run, which annually commemorates the largest mass hanging in the history of the U.S. Dakota Exile and the Dakota Conflict can be watched before the sun rises on Monday, December 26th in downtown Jordan. From 3 a.m. to 6 a.m., the hub of Jordan, 231 Broadway Street, will be hosting runners, serving them soup, hot chocolate, and coffee, and recalling December 26, 1862, the fatal end of a war between whites and Native Americans and a dark cloud over Minnesota's past. In 1862, while other U.S. military were fighting the Civil War, Minnesotans stayed home, even petitioning President Abraham Lincoln to recall troops to fight their own Civil War against Native Americans. Hundreds of Native Americans and settlers were killed, while broken treaties, dishonest agents, near starvation, and late annuity payments erupted into what has been called the bloodiest time in Minnesota history. 25 years ago, Willard Mailbear responded to his reoccurring dream by starting the Remembrance Run to bring healing between Native Americans and whites. In the dream, he is running alongside 2 people, a Native American and a white, along a route from Fort Snelling, where thousands of Native Americans were interned at a camp in 1862, and Mankato, where 38 warriors died by hanging. The run follows that route, beginning at 12:05 a.m. on Monday, the anniversary of the hanging at Fort Snelling. It continues through Egan, Burnsville, Savage, Shakopee, Jordan, Belle Plainte, and St. Peter, among others, on its way to the Land of Memories Park in Mankato. The route follows Highway 13, then County Roads 101 and 69 to Highway 169 to Mankato, where the run ends before noon on December 26th. To participate, you can contact Bob Schmitz at 952-492-7804. The Native News Update will not be producing shows December 26th through January 2nd. During the much-needed break, we will be working on a production of some backlogged interviews we have done over the past few months for Indian Country TV and Res Style, plus putting the finishing touches on a new studio setup. During this time, feel free to check out past interviews in our on-demand section at IndianCountryTV.com. And that's another roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. I'd like to thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next year. Have a grand holiday season.